You can feel when someone's energy is off. But what if it's your energy that changes the environment without you even realizing it? That weird silence when you walk in. That unexplained tension in the air. It's not social. It's not psychological. It's a symptom. A symptom of a soul already vibrating beyond what the space can handle. Highly vibrational people don't live ordinary lives. They alter fields. They collapse masks. They shift the rhythm of time, just by being authentic. In this video, you'll discover 11 things that only highly vibrational people experience. And if you see yourself in this, it's because your energy speaks before you do. So stick with me until the end. Because maybe, for the first time, you'll understand that what makes you different is exactly what makes you magnetic. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. There's a lot more truth coming your way. You walk into a room, and something shifts. Nobody needs to look at you. Nobody needs to hear your voice. Still, you've been noticed. There's a vibration that arrives before the body, a presence that comes before any words. And that's vibrational reality. Carl Jung once said that true enlightenment doesn't come from imagining light, but from making the darkness conscious. When someone aligns internally, the field around them changes. Everything vibrates. Everything emits something, but few can maintain a vibration that reflects their true soul. Most live in noise, scattered thoughts, suppressed emotions, rehearsed gestures. You can feel it when someone's still hiding. Their presence feels fragmented, hesitant, like they're saying one thing but vibrating another. But when someone starts aligning their inner world with their self, the organizing center of the psyche, as Jung called it, they emit something different. Some people arrive gently, but leave the whole space alert. Their presence is clear, and no one ignores it. Your energy speaks, even when you don't. People feel it. They don't know why, but they know there's something different about you. It's like your body calmly says, "I'm real," and that has an effect. Sometimes subtle, sometimes uncomfortable, but never neutral. That's when things start to happen. Subtle, but impossible to ignore. There's something that happens every time someone like this walks into a place. Doesn't matter if it's a noisy cafe, a meeting room, or a supermarket line. The atmosphere shifts. It's not charm. It's not a trick. People feel it because your energy is aligned with who you really are. Carl Jung spoke of the symbolic power that radiates from the self. When someone is aligned internally, the collective unconscious picks up on it. No logic, no intent. It's like the collective psyche responds to that silent organization. And this is the first thing highly vibrational people experience. Your presence interrupts invisible noise. You're not imposing. The environment is just reorganizing itself. And that's not a privilege. It's a responsibility. Because the field vibrates with what you carry. And if what you carry is truth, wholeness, and presence, then that vibration orders the invisible chaos in others. It feels strange at first, sometimes uncomfortable. It might feel like people are judging you, or like something's off, but it's not. It's just the field responding. Your energy is speaking to the unspoken. So even in silence, you're already saying something. The second thing highly vibrational people experience is almost inevitable. Masks fall around them. You're just there, being, listening fully, making eye contact, breathing with presence. And on the other side, someone starts to open up. First, in small ways. A change in tone, a longer pause, a confession that slips out. Suddenly, the conversation goes deeper than expected. Without you asking, the truth starts to surface. Not because you're pushing for it, but because your energy doesn't hold space for anything fake. People who vibrate high carry a quiet integrity. And integrity is like a gravitational field. It pulls in authenticity and breaks down performance. Carl Jung called it the persona, the social character we wear to fit in, to be accepted. But near someone who is whole, that mask starts to slide. Sometimes, without even realizing it. And it's not rare to hear things like, "I don't know why I'm telling you this. I don't think I've ever said this to anyone." You're not asking for the truth, but it finds you. Like it always knew it was safe to take the mask off around you. Because you don't fake it. And that invites others to stop faking too. You don't demand vulnerability. You allow it. Truth feels safe around those who've made peace with their own. And that's why, near you, people drop the act. Even if just for a moment. Even if they regret it later. Because the field doesn't lie. And what's true will always find a way out. The third thing that happens to people who vibrate at high frequency isn't logical. It just happens. Almost like a reflex of nature. Children stare at you longer. Some smile, others come closer without hesitation. They sit near you, they touch you, they stay quiet like they're studying you, or recognizing you. And animals, even more so. Dogs that were restless calm down. Cats come over, brush up against you, then lay down like they've found a safe spot in the world. Nature responds to energetic coherence with instinctive trust. Jung wrote about the unconscious as a space that recognizes symbols and archetypes without needing mental understanding. Animals and children live closer to that dimension. They're not led by social masks. They don't pretend to be liked, they feel. And the third thing highly vibrational people experience is exactly that. A natural pull from the most sensitive beings toward what's real. It doesn't matter what you say. What matters is what you are. Because when your energy is clear, centered, free of internal noise, it transmits something that these beings understand without needing to translate. They read intention, not appearance. Children and animals don't care about your status, your fancy words, or your effort to seem nice. They want to know if your presence is safe, if it's real, and when it is, they trust. That connection, as simple as it may seem, reveals something profound. A soul that's begun to align with the self emits a frequency that communicates directly with instinct. It didn't come ready-made, it was built. And only those who've seen themselves shattered understand what it means to live vibrating with truth. And the answer always comes in the same way. Closeness, curiosity, peace. These encounters are silent, but they say everything. They say your energy speaks the language of nature, and that can't be taught. It's felt. The fourth thing highly vibrational people experience often confuses those still trapped in pure logic. It's something that can't be explained, but keeps happening. Intuition kicks in before the mind. You're in a situation that hasn't been spoken out loud, but you already feel what's underneath. You know when something's off, even when everything looks fine. You pick up on someone's discomfort behind their smile. You sense tension in a room where everyone claims everything's great. Jung called this active imagination, a bridge between the conscious and the unconscious. A kind of inner dialogue that doesn't rely on words but on images, emotions, symbolic impulses. When someone begins aligning with their self, this communication intensifies. The soul speaks first. And the fourth thing that highly vibrational people experience, before any logical reasoning, is this direct perception of the symbolic truth of reality. You feel it, you know it, you pick it up. Your body becomes a sensor. Your skin reacts before your mind does. You walk into a space and sense where there's openness, where there's resistance, where there's truth, where there's performance. It's like you have a compass pointing to what's authentic, even when no one else sees it. And this isn't a burden, it's a gift. But only if you learn to trust it. Because the mind will try to argue. It'll call it an exaggeration. It'll ask for proof. But the soul already knows. And when you insist on doubting, it responds with discomfort, with restlessness, with that subtle heaviness that comes from ignoring an internal warning. Intuition is a form of wisdom. It doesn't give you arguments. It gives you direction. It shows up as goosebumps, glimpses, chills, sudden calm. Sometimes as dreams, symbols, or even a dense silence that fills the air. And those who are already vibrating with more presence start trusting this language. Not because it's mystical, but because it works. And over time, you realize that this sensitivity isn't about predicting the future. It's about protecting your truth. The self communicates like this, with signs that don't come from the mind, but from the field. And when you start listening with your body, your life shifts frequencies. The fifth thing that starts happening when your vibration rises isn't visible to the eye, but it shapes everything you do, say, and feel. It happens from the inside out, like old opposites stop fighting and start dancing. You realize you don't have to choose between being firm or kind, that you can act with courage without losing sensitivity, that your strength doesn't have to be hard, that your empathy doesn't have to make you weak. Jung's psychology called this the integration of anima and animus, the feminine and masculine principles within each of us. And the fifth thing that highly vibrational people experience is exactly this, the harmonious fusion of the masculine and feminine within themselves. We're not talking about gender, we're talking about energy. Inside you, there's a part that acts, that structures, that decides. That's the animus. And there's a part that listens, that nurtures, that intuits. That's the anima. In the individuation process, these aspects stop competing and start collaborating. You begin to operate in balance. You act with sensitivity. You listen with direction. You feel with clarity. It changes everything. Your communication becomes clearer. Your relationships deepen. Your decisions grow more precise. Not because they're logical, but because they're whole. And most importantly, you stop searching outside for what could only be balanced within. People who are disconnected from this integration project, they look for in others what they lack in themselves. They repeat patterns. They create dependencies. But those who vibrate with coherence have already moved past that phase. They faced their own imbalances, stopped blaming the world, and realized that all true harmony begins inside. This integration doesn't make you immune to pain or doubt, but it gives you a center. You can be gentle and direct, supportive and firm, rational and intuitive, and the world feels that, because this kind of balance radiates a rare presence, the presence of someone who has nothing to prove. You're no longer fighting yourself, and that means your energy no longer needs to fight anything. There comes a time when being present in shallow conversations starts to hurt, physically. You try to smile, try to engage, try to seem light, but something inside begins to drain, like your energy is slowly leaking out. It's not arrogance, it's not coldness, it's incompatible vibration. And the sixth thing that highly vibrational people inevitably experience is this. Superficiality starts to drain you. You can no longer fake interest in scripted dialogues, in interactions full of noise and lacking essence. You can't keep up connections that are only there in body, not in soul. You feel it in your body when a conversation's on autopilot, when laughter isn't real, when everyone's avoiding silence because they're scared of what it might reveal, and your field, which used to bend to fit in, now says no. Jung said that the process of individuation, the path to becoming whole, involves leaving behind everything that doesn't resonate with the truth of your soul. And this sorting begins to happen spontaneously. You start to drift away, not out of judgment, but for preservation. What nourishes you changes. What drains you too. You might still be kind, polite, open, but some part of you, the truest part, no longer gives itself where there's no real presence. The world, unfortunately, still revolves around distractions. Relationships maintained out of convenience. Conversations built to maintain appearances. And being in that world, vibrating differently, feels like breathing at a different pace. You don't need deep conversations all the time, but you need something real, even if it's just a shared silence, even if it's a glance where everything's already been said. This demand for authenticity isn't a standard you impose on others. It's a need your soul has come to recognize. Lightness is still welcome, but now, only the kind that comes with truth. And yes, that reduces your encounters, shrinks the crowd, but it clears the space. And in the silence that remains, you finally hear yourself. There's a pattern that starts to repeat when your energy reaches another level. You enter spaces, interact with people, and something shifts, not outside, but within them. At first it's subtle, a sideways glance, a veiled comment, a resistance that doesn't match the moment. Then it grows. Projections, judgments, unexplained discomforts. It's as if your presence turned the lights on in rooms the other person preferred to keep dark. And the seventh thing highly vibrational people experience is this. They perceive the shadow in others, and aren't shaken by it. Carl Jung defined the shadow as everything repressed, rejected, or forgotten in us. Fears, impulses, pain, anger, inconvenient truths. And when you've already faced your own, sat with your demons, made peace with your denied parts, you become threatening to someone else's ego, because you carry light. But it's not a light meant to impress, it illuminates. And light that illuminates reveals what was hidden. You're not doing it on purpose, you're just being, and that's enough to trigger reactions in others. Some withdraw, others lash out. Some are drawn in, then quickly pull away, because your presence invites them to face themselves. And not everyone is ready. But the most important part is, you see all this, and you don't take it personally. You know when a criticism isn't yours, when the discomfort you triggered doesn't belong to you, when the irritation coming your way reflects something unresolved in the one carrying it. And that gives you freedom. You no longer need to explain yourself so much, or shrink yourself, or dim your light just to avoid bothering others. You understand the unconscious game. You recognize what's shifting, and stay whole, not out of coldness, but out of energetic maturity. You're not responsible for the shadow your light reveals, but you can choose not to let it contaminate you. Some people, when they arrive, speed everything up. The conversation turns to noise. The space becomes anxious. Time races, scattered, unfocused. But then there are those who do the opposite. When they approach, the world slows down. Words gain weight. Silence becomes comfortable. Time suddenly expands. And the eighth thing highly vibrational people experience is this. They create a sense of timelessness around them. It's as if your presence suspends the urgency of the world. The pace slows. The rush of others loses meaning. People start breathing differently. You're not rushing, you're present. And that presence reorganizes time. Jung spoke of the union between ego and self as a state of totality. And when that union begins, psychological time, the one that traps us in expectation and memory, loses power. You start to inhabit the now more fully. And that, by resonance, affects everything around you. In your presence, others hear themselves better. In your presence, people notice their restlessness and begin to calm down, not because you impose peace, but because you are peace. And that kind of presence is rare, because it requires inner silence. It requires not being distracted by what doesn't matter. It requires making peace with your own emptiness. You begin to realize that even in chaotic environments, your energy holds a space of calm, like a steady center in the middle of a storm. And that center is noticed. People don't know how to explain it, but they feel it, and they return. They seek your presence, even if they can't name why. They say things like, "It's good to be near you. I feel lighter when I see you. I feel like time stops when we talk." And it's true. Your frequency stretches time, because truth always has a different rhythm. Some people talk a lot, show up constantly, always trying to be seen, but vanish the moment they walk away. Their presence was just noise. Nothing remained. And then there are those who say little, don't force space, don't try to stand out, but leave a mark that time can't erase. The ninth thing highly vibrational people experience is exactly this. They're remembered even after they've gone. You leave a place and the energy still lingers. The silence you left behind seems to say something. People keep thinking about you, even if they can't explain why. It's not charm. It's not performance. It's your field. Your energy stays. Carl Jung spoke of the self as a center so essential to the psyche that, once accessed, it begins to emit a living symbolic force. You start to represent something, not to impress, but because your being touches the unconscious of others. And what's true leaves a trace. A trace in emotional memory, in bodies, in places that can't be explained. You no longer need to be physically present to remain symbolically present. Anyone who encountered you in a moment of truth doesn't forget, even if it was brief, even if they didn't fully understand it. You may have said little, but you said it with wholeness. You may have stayed silent, but you held a presence no one else could. That's what leaves a mark. People remember the energy you brought, the relief or discomfort they felt near you, the inexplicable peace or the revealing unease. Your existence became a mirror, or a refuge, or both, and even if they can't name it, they feel it. In the middle of the chaos, a sudden thought. In the middle of a conversation, a memory of something you said. In silence, an echo that carries your name, or what you represented. You passed by, but you remained. Because where there is vibrational coherence, there is invisible permanence. The 10th thing that highly vibrational people inevitably experience is a very specific kind of misunderstanding. Because when someone vibrates in peace, the world often assumes they're passive, conciliatory, easygoing at any cost. But true peace isn't the absence of conflict, it's conscious presence within it. And the 10th thing these people live is this. They channel peace, but don't avoid confrontation when it's necessary. You know how to stay calm, you know how to breathe, you know how to listen. But you also know how to say no, not aggressively, but undeniably. Carl Jung spoke of the transcendent function as the ability to hold opposites, to not collapse under the tension between inner poles. You don't suppress your anger. You turn it into clear action. You don't deny discomfort. You use it as a compass. And that's exactly what confuses people. How can someone so centered be so direct? How can someone so gentle have such firm boundaries? It's simple. You're not in peace because you avoid chaos. You're in peace because you've learned how to move through it. You're not passive, you're present. And that steady presence, unshaken by confrontation, is what both unsettles and inspires. You no longer have to raise your voice to be heard, or harden to be respected. Your firmness comes from your center, and that center is at peace. Highly vibrational people don't shy away from hard conversations. They don't fake emotions to keep the peace. They don't sacrifice their truth for superficial harmony. They know that real alignment only comes after discomfort, and that sometimes things have to break in order to heal. You've learned to hold someone else's discomfort without falling apart inside, to face conflict not to win, but to honor what's real. Your peace isn't fragile. It has a spine, and it knows how to stand without losing compassion. The final thing on our list isn't something you see. It's something you feel, like a silent field that fills any room. It doesn't flash or demand attention, but everything around notices it. Highly vibrational people experience this. Their light comes from the underworld they've already walked through, and that changes everything. Because contrary to what it may seem, that light didn't come from books or cookie-cutter positivity quotes. It didn't come from repeated mantras or morning affirmations. It came from pain, from the fall, from the dark night of the soul. People who vibrate high today are the ones who have been at the bottom, but they didn't rush through it. They stayed. They sat with their monsters. They cried what had never been allowed to surface. They lost versions of themselves that once felt final, and still, they kept going. Carl Jung said, "No one becomes enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." And those who've walked that internal tunnel know exactly what that means. You didn't get here by accident. You built yourself. Every layer of your presence carries the weight of something faced and no longer denied. And that's why your energy is so dense, so real, so deeply felt. It doesn't come from trying to seem okay. It comes from choosing to stay whole, even when everything tried to shatter you. Your light is made of shadow passed through, of honored scars, of truth held steady even when escape was easier. You saw yourself broken. You saw yourself fragile. You saw yourself lost. But instead of hiding from it, you dove in and discovered that true strength isn't about avoiding the fall. It's about returning with something new. Something that only exists for those who didn't give up on themselves. That's why, when you speak, people listen differently. When you're present, spaces adjust. When you touch, something deep is activated. Because your light isn't surface, it's process. It's the presence of someone who's known the dark and didn't go out. That light doesn't shine to be seen. It shines to remind. Remind us that it's possible to rebuild, that it's possible to come back. High vibration isn't a status. It's coherence between soul, body, and emotion. And that coherence can't be bought. It can't be learned through formulas. It's the result of someone who stopped living on autopilot and started truly existing. The person who vibrates high isn't always smiling or always calm, but they are whole, and being whole is rare. It's someone who's already faced what hurt, who's let go of what no longer served, who's unlearned the lessons that taught them to hide, and who chose, consciously, to uphold their truth, even when it cost them spaces, relationships, comfort. That energy so many feel, that they call strength, presence, light, is nothing more than the result of integration between what is thought, what is felt, and what is lived. Elevated vibration isn't about being above others. It's about being at peace with every layer of yourself. It's about knowing you have shadows, but not being ruled by them. It's about having scars, but not turning them into armor. It's about staying open, even after everything. People who vibrate like this reorganize the environment, not through power, but through real presence. These people don't need to convince anyone. They don't need a stage or applause. They simply exist in truth, and that alone transforms everything around them. You feel it when one of these presences enters the room. You feel it when they speak. You feel it when they look at you and seem to see beyond the surface. And not because they're special, but because they're awake. And the world, half asleep as it often is, reacts with confusion, but also with relief. Because deep down, everyone wants to remember who they are. Everyone wants to stop pretending. Everyone wants to feel that living with more truth is possible. Those who vibrate high aren't better. They're just more conscious. And consciousness is the beginning of all change. If you felt truth in this content and stayed until the end, I want to offer you a silent, yet powerful, invitation. Comment below. My vibration reflects my truth. That will be our symbolic password. Those who write it, recognize. Those who read it, feel. And if in any way this video touched you, reminded you of who you are, or helped you see your journey more clearly, consider clicking the thanks button down below. Yes, it's a financial contribution, but it's more than that. It's a gesture that helps this channel go further, continue creating content with depth, awareness, and presence. Your vibration can also power ours, and together, we'll keep spreading what truly matters. See you in the next video.